Welcome to the From the Stands podcast. JC here alongside Jacob. We are missing 1/3 of our team. Clint, he'll be back with us soon. But Jacob, it's here. Football's back, baby.
Yes, sir. I have been waiting for this all year long. I mean, anybody can say that, but this has been a long summer and a hot one, that's for sure. But it's finally cooling down. And I walked outside this morning and said, "Man, it's football weather, boys. It was nice and cool out." And that's what I'm looking forward to: is some freaking football weather and some grilling out and having a good time picking some games.
Great minds think alike because I literally said the same thing when I felt the weather this morning. So that might just be here in South Carolina. We'll see. I don't know about all other parts of the country. But all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a select games out of the top 25. Just like the last couple of years, we're going to keep track of our tally all year. And we're going to see where it stands at the end of the year. I hate to be the one announcing this, but back-to-back champion as far as picks go.
Yes, well deserved. Yep, you are.
We're gonna kind of try to keep that train rolling, if you know what I'm saying. So starting out this week, but this is a tough one. All right, well, let's get right into it. We got 7 games, all top 25 games, starting Thursday. Actually, I take that back. Before we get into that, honorable mention, Jacob. We've talked about some teams in the preview. One of the biggest teams we talked about, surprise teams in the ACC, Georgia Tech. They play Friday night at Colorado, so they're traveling to Boulder. Deion Sanders' team, new quarterback over there, Haynes King and Georgia Tech. What do you think about this matchup? But that surprisingly is not a top 25 matchup. None of these teams are in the top 25.
Yeah, they're receiving votes. I think Georgia Tech was receiving like the 6th most votes, so they would be like quote 31, if you will. So they're right on the edge. But yeah, I mean, this is a great honorable mention because this kind of sets off, Deion Sanders without his son at quarterback and without that proven talent there, and without a Heisman winner Travis Hunter. What can he do after an offseason of health issues and stuff, and what can he do moving forward with that Colorado program? Getting a team like Georgia Tech that's got a lot of promise coming into this year with a proven quarterback. What can he do with that at home to begin the year? This should be a really, really good one and a fun one to watch, and a great one to kick off the season. But we're not necessarily picking this one. It's not going towards our tally for the year, if you will. But I mean, I personally have to stick with Georgia Tech here and Haynes King. I mean, the guy's been around, like I said in the preview for the ACC, it feels like he's been around for 10 years. Back at like A&M and now Georgia Tech for like his 2nd or 3rd year at this point. So I'm going to take the experience there at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Like you said, I know we're not picking this game as far as our tally goes, but I'm also going to take old Georgia Tech as well to go into Boulder, pull out the W. All right, let's get to the good stuff. Top 25 matchups. Jacob, these do go against our tally for the year. So good luck, brother, as we begin another football season.
Yes,
our 3rd full season.
Good luck.
Super excited. All right, tonight, the first top 25 matchup. Well, I guess we had one in week 0. For week 1, number 25, Boise State, traveling to South Florida. 5:30 kickoff on ESPN. Boise State, 6.5-point favorites. Jacob, who you got?
Yeah, man, this is a intriguing one to pick right away because Boise State had such a good year last year, making the playoff with Aston Gianti and the boys there. But this is an odd one, traveling to South Florida right away. It's still basically summertime, so it's going to be probably really hot, even though we just talked about how it's cooled down a little bit in South Carolina. Yeah. Florida's a different animal, and this team is traveling all the way to South Florida. It's being played at 5:30 on ESPN Thursday, August 28th. So it's kind of an odd time. I feel sure Boise's already been down there a couple of days kind of thing, but it just kind of it leads into like, okay, they have to cover 6.5 points traveling first game of the season. And what I look for in these first games is all kind of mistakes. We saw that last week with Kansas State and Iowa State. That first half, there was like 2 turnovers apiece for both teams and stuff. So you look for the mistakes to happen and everything, but you look for the second half to regroup and fix mistakes and everything. So this team, Boise, obviously going into it without Gianti, he's off to the NFL, but they still have returning quarterback Madison. He proved to be pretty good last year, and I think USF was not that great last year. They got skunked by the good teams they played by several scores. I think like they lost to Miami like 52-10 last year or something like that. So I'm gonna stick that USF hasn't made any huge leaps, and that this Boise team is still pretty good. Obviously, being ranked 25th coming into the year, and Madison will carry him to a victory. So I'm gonna take Boise State to cover the 6.5.
You had me in the first half, not gonna lie. I thought you were going South Florida early, and I was like, let's go. We're gonna differ on this one because a South Florida team that went 6-6 last year, Boise State made the playoff. I know Gianti's no longer there, but 6.5 is not that crazy. It's just a touchdown and extra point. I am also taking Boise. I think this one's simple. I was hoping you differed on me because I was like easy dub to start the year, but we'll be the same on that. So all good. So we both got Boise State minus 6.5. All right. The next game we're talking about, the biggest game of the weekend for many reasons. One of those being this is Lee Corso's last college game day, his last headgear pick. ESPN and College Game Day said they will no longer be doing headgear picks. I think that's the right call. Honor the legend that is Lee Corso. Number one Texas, traveling to the Horseshoe to take on the defending national champions, Ohio State. Arch Manning, the Manning name, new quarterback at Ohio State, best receiver in the country, and Jeremiah Smith. I mean, this is what college football is about. This is a noon kick on Fox. Ohio State, 2.5-point favorites. The first year, I think ever, at least in the AP like poll era, that a number one team is an underdog in week one. Jacob, who do you got?
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's the first time ever, and you imply 3 points when the home team gets 3 points. It's kind of implied whenever you're at home as like a home field advantage. So by the spread, Texas is on a neutral field better than Ohio State by half a point. But I it, I just I've said it before. If you listen to the Big Ten or the SEC preview, that I think Texas has got a lot of I mean, I don't say a lot to prove, but that's not the right term. But they have a lot coming back this year, and Arch Manning is a new quarterback, but he's proven himself a little bit in the games that he did play. And Ohio State's just got a lot of question marks, new coordinators, brand new quarterback. Both teams are immensely talented, so that's why I think this kind of evens that aspect out, because you would normally say, okay, new quarterback, I'm not sure, but they're super talented. But I really think I have to lean Texas here, even though this is at Ohio State. Fox screws us over yet again by putting it at a big noon. Why these got to have these freaking noon games? I don't know. Imagine this being a night. Has that ever been thought of? Anybody? No. That would be absolutely insane. But I'm going to take Texas to win the game outright, which would be covering the 2.5. But yeah, Lee Corso, man, this is going to be, you get chills thinking about it. This dude's been around college football my whole life. Been in almost every college football game that I've ever had. I'm going to miss him for sure. I kind of like the way they're doing it. They're kind of just doing the one and done kind of thing for this year. He has been getting very old and stuff, but I've always said just keep him around as long as he wants to be there. So this is going to be super special to watch. And I'm kind of like you said, I think they're doing the right thing by this kind of not letting anybody else do the headgear thing. It's going to be something that you're going to miss, but nobody else really should get that. It's been Lee Corso's thing his whole career. So I think it's the right thing to do. But I'll take Texas plus 2.5.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll think of something new to do. And maybe they won't. Maybe they'll just stick with like how McAfee kind of does his. He chants with the crowd, then he does his picks, right? Obviously, he brings a lot of energy to the show. Nick Saban's kind of taking Corso's spot as like the older head coach there. Saban doesn't strike me as a headgear guy, even if they offered it to him. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you. Let's retire that. We'll find something new as time goes on. But yeah, shout out Lee Corso. Obviously, he's been around for decades and decades and decades, and I think he has been a face of college football for quite some time. Again, man, I hear a lot of people say, and I know you may not be Ohio and Texas as some people, and that's okay. I think they do have a lot to prove because they have one of the best rosters in college football. I heard Jordan Rogers say today that the film on Arch Manning does not match the hype. I beg to differ on that because I know it's limited, but don't forget Quinn Ewers was hurt for a few games. Arch Manning stepped up and played. Was he perfect? No, but did he make some really good plays? I think so. I think he throws the deep ball very well. I think he can throw it on the run. I think he's a problem with his legs, which there hasn't been in the Manning family since his grandfather Archie, who he's named after. So I think this
Yeah.
guy can do it all. Dual threat. Like, I'm not saying he's the greatest coming. I'm not saying he's the greatest quarterback of all time, but I think the kid's going to live up to at least the hype of like, we got a really good roster on defense and offense, and he's not going to be the reason that they fail. I'm going to say that, but I think he is going to be a big reason why they go into Ohio State and they cover the 2.5 and they get this win outright. I think it's going to be a really close game, but I'm with you, man. I got Texas winning outright. So give me them plus the 2.5. All right, moving on, Jacob. I will pick this game first because it is your team playing, and this next game we're covering, and that's the number 4 team in the country, Clemson. They're hosting LSU in Death Valley in South Carolina. So
Thank you.
whatever way you roll, that's what's happening this Saturday night. Spread is 3.5 for Clemson. So by your math, which I think is correct, you guys are 0.5-point favorites. Man, what a game. I cannot wait. You guys have not met since the 2019 National Championship. Didn't go the way you wanted to. Didn't go the way most people wanted to that year versus Joe Burrow and all the NFL stars they had. But I do remember years and years and years ago on New Year's Eve, this was like before you guys were in the national championship contention, and you guys were playing LSU in one of the bowl games early on. And I remember you guys beating LSU, I think on a game-winning field goal. You were at my parents' house. We were watching the game. We shut fireworks off. But I very vividly remember you guys beating a very good LSU team back when like beating LSU was not that it's not going to mean anything this weekend, but like it wasn't maybe the norm for some of the programs here in the ACC. I remember that vividly. With that being said, it's 3.5 for Clemson. My pick is Clemson wins the game by a field goal. So unfortunately, I have to take LSU and a plus 3.5. I'm not doing that to spite you. I'm not doing that to say I'm not a Clemson fan. I really think it's a field goal game. And unfortunately, the way the spread rolls, give me LSU plus the 3.5.
Jesus, and I thought I liked you, but I mean, hell, I guess you are from Louisiana, right? That's okay. We still giving me the win, whatever the case is. So, the spread has moved a couple times. I think it was -4 for us, and then the betting odds has kind of moved it down to 3.5, which fine with me. I think the biggest thing here is this is a top 10 matchup. It's in the real Death Valley, the original one. It was Death Valley before LSU had Death Valley. Look it up.
Tell that to Brian Kelly.
Well, that dude, all he's doing is talking, so I don't want to tell him anything. I think he's doing his team a disjustice because
talking in his fake country accent.
They're about to get swallowed. I made a word up.
You did make a word up.
I sure did because LSU this year. I know I still had them in the SEC championship game against Texas, and I had Texas winning that, at least in my prediction. So I'm still high on LSU, but getting to travel to Clemson at night and had the ABC 7:30 game with Kirk and Ricky Fowler. Rich Fowler.
Ricky Fowler. Yo, if Ricky Fowler's doing it,
I'm thinking about golf. Chris Fowler. I want to play some golf.
Ricky Fowler hasn't won a major yet. Hey, but Buddy's calling the Clemson LSU game. That might be the next closest thing.
Yeah, maybe honestly, but having like the whole
Ricky
nation
Fowler, fan of orange.
True, very much true. The Orange Puma days, But yeah, so I mean, I think for is the strategy of this game. Obviously, both quarterbacks are like top 5 Heisman odds, whatever the case is. Pick and choose who you want there. I've talked before about the returning talent that we have. LSU's big on the transfer portal, and that means a lot here. I think Clemson's had a lot of continuity, and LSU's traveling to them. But personally, I think for as game goes, I really think that LSU's offensive line was really, really good last year. They lost a lot of those guys, and this year they're replacing them. And this is a bad spot to try to learn how to, become an offensive line together here.
Yeah,
not going to have much chance to even hear each other, to be honest with you, with how loud this crowd's going to be. So I think that aspect, and then our defensive line, I said in the preview for the ACC, probably the best defensive line in the country, and they're going to just be able to feast. I know Nussmeier is really good at having a quick release and getting the ball out, but he's known to throw a couple picks as well. So I really think that pressure is going to lead to too many turnovers, and I think Clemson's going to win this probably by like 2, maybe 3 scores.
Wow. Was not expecting that. Obviously, I know you're picking Clemson as you should. 2-3 scores is
Yeah,
very
my pick
interesting.
is minus 3.5. Technically, so that if I get that, I win. But
Right.
I really think this is Brian Kelly's pissed us off a little bit, so he's gonna get his coming due.
I think the D line for you guys will handle business for sure.
Feast.
Gonna make it very tough. All right. Moving on. Number 8, Alabama traveling to Florida State. This is a 3:30 kick on ABC. The Crimson Tide are 13.5-point favorites. All right. New quarterback in Bama Town. New quarterback down there in Tallahassee. Thomas Castellanos from Boston College, the dual threat guy, small quarterback, but can hurt you with his feet. Again, new quarterback on Alabama. This isn't the Nick Saban-led defense. This is Kalen DeBoer, 13.5. Bama wins this game. Florida State, as much as I dislike them, cannot be as bad as last year. They just can't be. I can't imagine it. Castellanos, good player. 13.5 is too much for this Alabama team that you remember Jalen Milroe a couple years ago. They were struggling early in the year trying to figure out what he can do. I don't think this quarterback's quite Jalen Milroe, at least not yet. So give me Florida State plus 13.5. I think it's going to be 13 on the dot. I just think, man, it seems like a very big spread, away game, new quarterback. Give me the Seminoles to cover the 13.5.
Interesting. First thing I want to hit you with is, like ESPN does a little matchup predictor. Bama's favored 90.6% over FSU.
I think they're 100% going to win the game. I'll give you that. Good thing we're doing the spread picks. I think that predictor is off. It's 100% Bama will win the game.
Most of the time it is off.
But can they cover the 13.5? Let's hope not.
Well, I don't have them covering the 13.5. I have Bama. There's just too much volatility that Florida State. This is a year of prove it to me.
Hey, that's a great word, by the way. That's a great word.
Right. And this is the 3:30 game. I really think that Bama, this Kalen DeBoer team, this is his second year, and honestly, this is a point that I would like to hear from like a true Bama fan what they think. But like Jalen Milroe is one of the most talented runners they've ever had there at Alabama. But he was so wishy-washy, like up and down last year. I mean, they lost to Vanderbilt. So like just kind of like what happened there. Milrose is hot and cold, and Ty Simpson, the quarterback for this year, is like he's a former 5 stars. I mean, so like kind of going back to the old Saban days where it was like a old white game manager quarterback that never had any legs. That was the Bama way back in the day with Saban. So
AJ
I can't
McCarron,
say that Ty Simpson can't run.
AJ McCarron, the Greg McElroys of the world, these guys who have won national championships who sat for 2 to 3 years until it was their turn. Hey,
and that was
I'm
Ty
with
Simpson.
You. I'm with you.
So and that kind of leans on, I don't know if Ty Simpson has the capability of Mac Jones. That was a completely elite offensive air raid back in the day. But I think that they can overwhelm Florida State in the trenches, and they will cover the 13.5.
See, a part of me now thinking of Ryan Williams thinks that they might beat this team 40-0. So, but I got to stick with my gut, man, because that's what's got me to winning these things.
Hey, it's college football. Anything's possible.
So that's true. Anything's possible. All right. Next game, number 24 Tennessee taking on Syracuse. Man, a lot of orange today. And a lot of orange reminds me of the comment you made just a few minutes ago that we can't forget. That's Ricky Fowler. Speaking of Ricky Fowler, our sponsor, East Coast Golf. Go to eastcoastgolf.us. Save 10% on your first order. We don't have all orange clothes there. I'll tell you what. They'll get you looking right. Go to eastcoastgolf.us. Get your hats, polos. Get ready for your next round because I know it's college football season weather. That also means it's golfing weather. It's the perfect time to go out and play golf. eastcoastgolf.us. Jacob's a big fan. We love it. All right.
I was thinking about golf earlier.
Hey, you were. And again, that's why we do these things, because we're normally thinking the same things. All right, let's get back to it. Football, number 24, Tennessee, taking on Syracuse. This game's in Atlanta. This is a noon kick on ABC. Again, this is Saturday. Tennessee, 13.5-point favorites versus the Cuse. Syracuse quarterback Steve Angeli, transfer from Notre Dame. Tennessee quarterback The kid from UCLA, whose name is going to escape me at the moment, is it Joey Aguilar? I don't know how I keep remembering that,
Yes.
but it is.
Yes.
13.5-point favorites for the Orange. No, for the team in orange playing the Orange. Wow. Way to confuse us.
A lot of orange.
I am going to give my pick. I'm taking the Syracuse Orange. I'm taking plus 13.5. This Tennessee team is nowhere near as good as they were last year. I think this Cuse team surprised some teams last year. I know they don't have Kyle McCord anymore, but Steve Angeli is serviceable. So, yeah, give me the Orange to cover the 13.5.
Very interesting. I see that we're going against each other on a couple picks to start the year, so this is how you want it to happen, right?
I
I'm
mean,
going Tennessee to cover.
maybe.
Yeah,
Ooh.
maybe we'll see. I'm going Tennessee to cover. Syracuse was decent last year, but that was with quarterback Kyle McCord, who uh, is in the NFL now, and he was like I think really close to being right behind Cam Ward in like passing yards last year. And we saw Cam Ward
Yes.
was like a
Yep.
Heisman finalist and stuff. So they had an all time year as a Syracuse quarterback last year, and that kind of carried them. So I don't know what kind of team the Syracuse Orange will be. To be honest, they're not really favored to be that much of a contender in the ACC. So I know Tennessee lost Nico, but still surrounding Nico last year was a really damn good Tennessee team. And they were able to run the ball really well last year, and I think they can stick with that in the trenches and just overpower this Syracuse team. And Joey Aguilar, be interested to see how he does in this first game. I think if he makes that leap, he could be just as good, if not better, than Nico. I mean, Nico was like he showed flashes, but he wasn't like a 400-yard guy every night. He had
Right.
his like 150-yard nights every now and again. So Aguilar could be just as good, if not better, than Nico. So we'll have to see. But I'm glad we're differing on the picks though. So I'm going Tennessee minus 13.5.
No doubt. No doubt. All right. Let's move on from Saturday's games and move in to Sunday's games because we have two really good games as well. Jacob, I'm going to let you pick these first. All right. The first one on Sunday, the number 6 team in the country, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They lost to Ohio State last year in the national championship. New quarterback. They still have Jeremiah Love. Obviously, Marcus Freeman, the head coach, still at the helm. They're traveling to number 10 Miami, take on Carson Beck, his $4 million and the Miami Hurricanes. It's a 7:30 kick on ABC. I know a few people going to this game, so I can't wait to hear about how that goes. Man, what a game. Notre Dame, 2.5-point favorites versus Miami. Jacob, where do you lean on this one?
Well, this being in Miami, you start to think about, okay, well, what's going to happen here? But it is still the first game of the year, and Miami. I'll just come out and say it. I don't think the city of Miami's going to come after me. They don't really show up to home games, so the home field advantage isn't going to be as great as you think. And Notre Dame is one of those programs that's just like nationally, there's fans everywhere. And hell, Miami is where all these Notre Dame people go to retire anyway. So there'll probably be just as many, if not more, Notre Dame fans in the stands than Miami has. It will be very interesting to see what Carson Beck looks like you said, coming off of shoulder injury through the
Right.
offseason. I think he had surgery, didn't he?
Elbow surgery.
Elbow, I'm sorry. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what he looks like, especially behind this Miami offensive line, which we think is really, really good. But I mean, we saw Notre Dame make a run out of, I don't want to say nowhere, but kind of out of nowhere last year in the playoff, and beat some really good teams on the way. So we know, I mean, you saw them in person last year. We know that this team is really, really good. And I just am not 100% sold on Miami. This one won't hurt Miami, or Notre Dame's obviously an independent, but this won't hurt Miami when it comes to the ACC. So, I mean, I'm going to stick with Notre Dame to win this game outright. So I have Notre Dame minus 2.5.
It's crazy how much things change or don't really change, at least from my perspective, because, yeah, like you said, I saw Notre Dame in person, and I was so down on them all year. It was absolutely insane. You guys were giving me so much crap, rightfully so. But I watched a high school offense as far as play calling goes and plays that
Yep.
were attempted to be executed versus a Northern Illinois team that apparently was not undermatched. But things have changed in 2025. And by that, I mean not much. Notre Dame starting quarterback is CJ Carr, and that is the grandson of Michigan legendary coach Lloyd Carr. So I mean, that's gonna be a tough one for the Michigan fans. I don't know. They got Bryce Underwood, so they're doing okay. Um, I'm not high on this Miami team at all. If you listen to our ACC conference preview, you would know that. Um, but I'm really high on the trenches of Notre Dame and Jeremiah Love, and I think Notre Dame wins this game convincingly. I think they win it by at least 10 points. So I think this 2.5 is very easy to pick. So give me the Fighting Irish, Catholics versus convicts. Again, I didn't coin that term, so do not come after me. But yeah, give me the Fighting Irish, minus 2.5. Jeremiah Love runs for 150 plus yards, makes CJ Carr's job
Ooh,
very, very easy. And Notre Dame is going to try to begin their playoff run again.
that is a very good point. I think Jeremiah Love is the best player on this field going into it, and I think he proves it. Maybe a good start for a Heisman,
Hey,
Heisman run
I
this
think
year
he's in the conversation. I think he's
for sure.
absolutely in the conversation. I mean, there's no Gianti this year, so you talking about top running backs in the country. Like, we don't have Quishon Judkins, or man, I'm going to blank on the other kid that was at Ohio State. Um, but man, I
Yeah, I
think
am too.
he's
But
yeah, I think he's got a chance to be the best running back in the country, no doubt. All
okay,
right, last game we're picking. This is Sunday evening. This is a 3 o'clock. I'm sorry, Sunday afternoon, if you will. 3 o'clock ESPN. Number 13 South Carolina taking on Virginia Tech, also in Atlanta. South Carolina 8-point favorites. Jacob, who you got?
yes, sir. Here we go. First game for your South Carolina Gamecocks. Talk about another team that's got some things to prove based on what they lost last year. Again, if you listen to the SEC preview we did, I went in on South Carolina a little bit. I don't want to say too hard, but I walked it back a little later. But they have a lot to prove on this defense. Obviously, they return maybe one of the best defensive players in the country back there. But still, this is a game I still look at Lenora Sellers and I'm like, yep, you're just going to carry him to a win here. I don't know who can stop Lenore's when he gets out of the pocket. There's not many teams that can, honestly, and I don't think this Virginia Tech defense can. I'm not. Kyron Drones can maybe the quarterback for Virginia Tech can maybe get a couple of big plays on a young secondary that may have some inexperience, but I think Lenore's is just going to will them to the victory here. Being big time, kind of the whole nation's watching standalone game, ESPN 3 o'clock in Atlanta. He's going to put on a show, and eight is I want to say a lot to cover, but I really think that Lenora Sellers is the real deal. I mean, he's top 5 in Heisman odds too, isn't he? Just like Cade
Yep.
and some of these other teams. So I mean, I can't I can't sit here and realistically say out loud that a Virginia Tech team that hasn't been the greatest over the past several years is going to stop a top 5 Heisman guy and try to keep it within 8. So give me South Carolina plus or minus 8.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hard to argue on that. I see your point about. I mean, Kyron Jones, a good quarterback. A lot of leg injuries that kind of put him out last year. They do have a new offensive coordinator, Philip Montgomery. That's former head coach at Tulsa. He was the coordinator at Houston, Baylor, and Auburn, known for some of his high profile attacks there at Houston and Baylor. Um, I'm with you, man. Like, I'm good. We're getting a test. Like, on the defensive side, because I think we need that early on, because I really want to see what this D line can do and helping the rest of the defense go. But I think you're right, man. Like, football is obviously the most team game that we probably have. So it's hard to just say this one guy is going to lead us to victory. But Lenore Sellers is very tough to stop. He proved that last year. 65% completion percentage, 18 touchdowns, to 7 interceptions. Look what he did with his legs. Look what he did when people got free shots at him in the pocket and they bounced off of him. Obviously, like,
Couldn't
I
bring
don't
him down.
like that as a fan, right? I'm glad you have the ability, but let's maybe keep those at a minimum. The other good news that we got over the past few days is that Rasul Faison, the transfer from Utah State, is cleared and is eligible to play. He is going to be the number one guy. Very dynamic running back. Can't wait to see him. That just helps us because I think we have good depth behind him. But the fact that we have a number one guy to replace Rocket Sanders is big time. I think we're going to bring a really good crowd to Atlanta. I think Lenore Sellers is the real deal. Last year in his first start versus Old Dominion didn't go super well. People were freaking out. Then we go to Kentucky and stomp out the Wildcats. it's the first game jitters. We're playing a really good team as far as like we're not playing a cupcake early in the year, right? So I think it's going to be a good game early on, but I think the second half we we really take it to them, prove that we're the better team in the trenches, prove that we got the best players on the field. Dylan Stewart, Lenore Sellers. So give me the Cox to win by 8. I think we're going to win by 10 to 15. At least I'd like to, just for the confidence going in. But definitely, we're going to cover the 8 there in Atlanta, and I can't wait. It's going to be a great way to start the season. A great way, selfishly and personally, to start off my week. Sunday going into Monday, we have a win. I tell you what,
That's
it's going to
right.
be. And wait, I take that back. We're not working Monday because it's Labor Day.
Labor Day.
Do I love
Let's
college
go.
football or do I love college football? Tuesday when I
Let's
get to
go.
work because it's already going to be a short week. Oh, man. Now I'm even more excited. I just feel like it's
Let's go.
Friday. I'm back in high school and it's Friday and we about to go home. That's how I feel. It's the weekend,
That's right,
baby.
dude. Let's go.
Oh, what kind of? Because it kind of is. Oh, man. Jacob, we're back, buddy. We are back. College football's here.
Yes, sir. We are back. College football is here. I'm beyond excited. Let's have a great year, boys.